So, my friends, the latest update we have for you guys around Liverpool's search for a sporting director and, of course, around Liverpool's search for targets with regards to midfield and defence. I'm going to go through now over the next couple of minutes. You know the score. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section. Of course, drop a like on the video. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. So, look, where are we with regards to our search for a sporting director? So, George Schmadtke, and again, my pronunciation is horrendous, so I do apologise for that. He will reportedly fly into Liverpool this week to finalise terms over becoming the club's new sporting director. Now, one of the questions that many of us has had is it going to be this 3 months short-term contract that we've seen, or is it going to be a longer deal? We've seen Liverpool say that their search for a sporting director will be for a long-term sporting director. But there's been an update coming from The Athletic, and they say that Schmadtke is likely to agree a short-term deal, but will then have an option to extend that should the partnership become a success. That makes a little bit of sense to me. Liverpool obviously know we've a busy summer ahead. We want to get targets in early. Klopp feels like this is somebody he can work with, somebody who we can trust, and somebody who is very well versed in transfers and bringing players to clubs. So that's one side of it, and yes, I agree with the thought process, but what if it doesn't work out? Then we've got another window that's gone by. If it ends up being, I don't know, the wrong choice, if another window gone by where we maybe didn't get some targets because of it, I don't know, it just feels a little bit like a roll of the dice for me. I don't see any statement that this is the right candidate, you know? If there's any doubts about it, I don't know, it just feels a bit weird because it's such an important role. We spoke about this before. The sporting director of a football club, probably second, third maybe, probably third after the manager and obviously the CEO for importance at a football club. And this guy seems to be somebody who can work but can also maybe be a bit of a divisive character, has an odd sense of humour according to some other people as well. But what we do know is, as per The Athletic, he'll be flying in this week, he'll be sorting out the final details, and then it looks like it'll be a short-term deal with, as I said, an option to make that permanent. Hopefully it works out. You know, we've got big shoes to follow in from Michael Edwards and Julian Ward, who've done a great job at the club. But George Schmadtke will be flying in this week, and again, he will be Liverpool's new sporting director, barring any last-minute hiccups. Now, Leighton Clarkson, who has been on loan this season at Aberdeen, has been speaking about his future, and this is what he has to say. I just want to get the club into Europe. After doing that, I can start thinking where my future lies. I'm going to be serious. I've not given it much thought. I have said to people who've asked me in the street and also the manager, I've enjoyed every minute of playing up here, but we'll have to see what happens. So obviously Leighton Clarkson has been a success there. I think if my memory is right, he was voted Aberdeen's Young Player of the Season, and he's trying to push them to get into Europe. So again, let's see what happens with Leighton Clarkson. Just wanted to give you guys an update on it, as he is obviously one of Liverpool's youngsters who are out on loan. Right, we spoke earlier on today, the video I did about transfers, where we spoke about Marc Guehi as being somebody who Liverpool could be interested in. Crystal Palace centre-back, English, I think homegrown if I'm not mistaken, and they bought him for in 2021 off Chelsea for £18 million. Liverpool have been linked along with some other clubs according to the Daily Mail, and they say that should Crystal Palace choose to cash in, that the price that will be asked will be £50 million. Now, I can't say I've watched too much of Crystal Palace. I can't say I've watched too much of Marc Guehi, but again, I'm going to say what I always say. If he's who Klopp wants, go get him. If Klopp wants somebody else, go get them. But, you know, I can understand the link. Let me put it that way. You know, he's an English player. He's, I think, homegrown. He's 22 years of age now. So let's wait and see what happens with it. I want to know your thoughts. So maybe you've watched more of him than I have. Do you think he'd be a good fit at Liverpool? Or do you think this is pie in the sky stuff? 50 million's a lot of money, though. I mean, I know these days every defender seems to be about 50 million. Thanks, Manchester City. But I don't know, 50 million quid. I don't know on this one. This is one that I'm happy to step aside and let you guys and let the club have their say on it, because I don't know much about the guy. But I like the age profile. I like the fact that he's homegrown. I like the fact that he's got experience in the Premier League. And yeah, let's wait and see what happens with it. But again, it's over to you to let me know your thoughts. So, the latest on Alexis McAllister and his move to Liverpool Football Club. So people were getting a little bit worried when Manchester City's name started getting thrown into the mix as maybe them looking to hijack the deal. So according to Fabrizio Romano, Manchester City are not in the race for Alexis McAllister at this stage. No talks or concrete contact between the clubs. He goes on to say that Liverpool are close to a full agreement on personal terms with the player and they're waiting on final details. Now, contrast that as well with reports, or not contrast, add to that reports coming out of Argentina that say that they believe that Alexis McAllister will be a Liverpool player before he goes on international duty on the 10th of June. That makes sense. That kind of correlates with what information we've seen from other journalists as well. Again, we think that the fee is going to be a little bit under £60 million and certainly not the 70 million that has been mentioned previously. And then we have the whole thing about the clause that isn't a clause that is a clause in this contract. Let's just call it a mechanism that makes it possible for him to leave Brighton over the summer. And I expect this deal to be done, quite frankly. The reports have been about £150,000 a week for Alexis McAllister. Also reports that he will wear the number 10 shirt should he sign for Liverpool. Good, all works for me, no issues, no notes, just go ahead and get it done so we can start celebrating the lad and start looking forward to him wearing a Liverpool shirt. Now, we move on to Mason Mount, and the news broke today that it's not just Liverpool who are interested in him. We knew Manchester United had an interest in him, but Arsenal are also set to try and rival Liverpool for the signing of Mason Mount. The Athletic say that it's very unlikely that his contract, the Athletic say that Liverpool and Arsenal are in from. Other reports say that it's very unlikely that he signs a contract extension to remain at Chelsea. And for me, I'm pretty straightforward on this one. No problem with him coming to Liverpool Football Club, but for the right price. I don't want Liverpool to be paying 55, 60, 65 million pound for a Mason Mount with 1 year left on his Chelsea deal, who's had a pretty forgettable season. Age profile wise, 24 years of age, no problem with that. Arsenal obviously in for Declan Rice as well. Caicedo is another name on the Arsenal wish list. And this must be nice. Arsenal are going to bestow £200 million apparently on Mikel Arteta to go shopping in the summer transfer window. Why is that? Have they sold off some of the club? No. Have they got a new investor in? No. They've just qualified for the Champions Leagues and the owners have gone, you know what lads, have 200 mil. Must be nice, right? Don't remember the last time Liverpool, in fact I don't remember any time Jurgen Klopp was told, well done on qualifying for the Champions League, Jurgen, here's 200 million quid. No, we get poverty, we get poor mouth, we get, sorry Jurgen, hands are tied, wages are high. So let me know your thoughts on it. You jealous? Because I'm a little bit jealous. Arsenal getting 200 million quid after finishing second, after qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in I don't know how many years. And they're maybe getting 200 million to go out there and buy the likes of Declan Rice. Meanwhile, we walk away from Jude Bellingham, somebody we've been after for 2 years, because he gets a little bit expensive. Again, doesn't sound to me like our owners want to win stuff. Doesn't sound to me like our owners really want to be competitive. It sounds to me like they're sitting around and waiting until Liverpool hits peak value before they look to sell. And that's what I truly believe. Whenever they think that the football bubble is about to burst or the Premier League valuations are at their very, very peak, that's when they'll sell, because they don't want to lose out on a few quid. They don't want to feel like, we could have milked this cash cow a little bit more. Because remember, you buy the club at 300 million, it's now valued around 4 billion. That's not enough for FSG and John W. Henry. No. Let's sit on our hands. Let's throw away a season. Let's play in the Europa League next year because we were too scabby to buy a midfielder. How does it feel, John? It's down to you that we're not in the Champions League next season. Entirely down to you and your miserly ways. Right, on Mason Mount as well. It was Fabrizio Romano that said, speaking to some sources today, it's going to be very difficult to extend Mason Mount's stay at Chelsea. No done deal, no absolute finalised news that he is leaving, but it's looking more and more likely that he's moving towards the Chelsea exit door. So, with that in mind, somebody drew my attention to apparently Costas being upset on the last day of the season at Anfield. Apparently he was in tears. Does that mean maybe Costas is going to move on in the summer? I've certainly not heard anything from the journalists to suggest that Liverpool could be looking to sell Costas. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I haven't seen the incident, so maybe you guys can fill me in. What do you think? Should Liverpool sell Costas? Here's my stance on it, right? I don't think he's ever going to be a real competitor to Andy Robertson. So I don't see when Robbo, moves on or hangs up his boots in 2, 3 years or whatever, that Costas is going to be ready to come in and fill those shoes. I don't see that. If he's happy to be a backup, he's got a good role there. I've no issues with him coming in, playing the occasional game, giving us a bit more attacking impetus on the left side when Klopp needs to chase a game. But I don't think he's a long-term successor. So I can understand if Liverpool do look to move him on, but I can also understand if we look to keep him around. He seems like a nice lad. Seems like he's good to have around the club. Seems like he cares. No problems with him. I just don't think he's going to be our long-term left-back solution. I'd love to know what you guys think about it as well. And of course, all of the other things that I've gone through in this video. It is now over to you, my friends. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know players you'd like to see in. If you're asking me for my best guess at 4 players that Liverpool will bring in this window, I'm going to have a guess at this and go Alexis, McAllister, Mason Mount. The third midfielder is where I struggle. I hope it's Ugarte, because apparently we had scouts over watching them for Sporting in that, I think it was a 2-2 draw with Benfica. And then centre back, I think Timber. If I was a betting man, I'd lay the money on Timber, but nothing's concrete at this moment in time. So now it's over to you. 3 midfielders and a centre back. What are you saying?